Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. As you can see, the front end is off the kit car. We're going to have to get that re-wrapped because of our little mishap. Before we go any further today, guys, let's head over to the cylinder head area and see what we've got going on. As you can see, the Centronic here, we've just put new bulbs in. We come in this morning, it was like a disco in here. Got two bulbs in there. I thought there was only one, but one had gone anyway. So as you can see, that's lovely and bright now on the Centronic. But anyway, cylinder head over here. So this is for an engine that Paul's doing. At home, what he wants, obviously it's a 16 valve head. The guides are a little bit sloppy, so what we are doing is we are lining the guides with the K-line system that we've got here. So these are a 6mm stem, inlet and exhaust, and Paul wants them as good as fit as possible. Now, the reason we're not putting guides in this is because sometimes on some heads, because they're a cast iron guide, we have had them where the aftermarket guides are no better than the guides that are in it. So we're still finding that when we push them in, we're still getting about 3 thou of play in the guides, which is, you know, quite a lot. This is going to be a big power engine, so Paul wants them as tight as we can get them. Obviously, you've got to have a little bit of clearance there. You don't want them binding up, but we sort of aim for about a thou and a half of clearance. And then what you end up with is, we put this one in here. See, next to, there's not really any play in there whatsoever, but it's a damn sight better than 3 thou. 3 thou doesn't sound a lot, and it's not, but on a sort of narrow valve like that, it is. Anyway, K-line system. Don't know whether I've showed you this before. What we have to do, depending on what size the existing stems are, so say this one is 6mm. So what we do, we've got a 6mm kit up here. We've got various kits. So we take the 6mm kit down. This being the kit. Now what it consists of is we've got a reamer, 6mm reamer. We have the tool, the applicator here to push the sleeves in. We have a reamer, so we've got the 6mm guide at the front, and this part at the back here is the size needed to push the guide in. So first of all, we bore that out, and what we do is, for a guide, we put this little tool that slides up and down the shaft there. Then we find one of these. We've got various sizes of these. Obviously, you've got 45° on one side, 30° on the other, depending what angle your seats are. This one is 45, so we use that side. And you find the tool that fits correctly. See, that one's slightly too small, so we go for that one there. That sits lovely over that 45° seat. That fits nicely over there, slides up and down. Then what you do, so I've just turned the head round, so we've got the exhaust there now because I haven't yet finished the inlets. So you can see we put the guide, this tool down the guide, so it comes to a point there before you board it, and this sits on the seat. Now you want that sitting as square as you can. Now what this tool does is ensures that when you bore it, it stays at 90° to the seat, exactly. So we pull this air operated bar over, you can adjust the height at the back there, and then we turn the air on, and when we flip that switch down, there's a ram in here which pushes against the back and then pushes that down. So you can see that now. Now that cannot be budged, all right, that's solid. So what we do is we put our drill on there and we just bore the existing guide down, okay? When you're done, air off, slide back, remove the tool. Now, once that is done, we want to press the guide in. We insert this tool into this tool, and this is basically an air jack. Then we insert a guide sleeve. So up here, we take a bronze sleeve. That goes over the end of that tool. Fits in there. And then because that's got a spring on, it sort of just batters it in effect, and you just drive it down until you can feel underneath with your finger there's probably sort of 10mm protruding, and the same on the other side, okay? Then what we do is we take this tool here, which is our 6mm, it's got a 6mm guide, and then we just literally top the liner down to the existing guide like so. Then what we want to do to size it, we need to find the correct ball we want. So we have a series of balls, see, for the 6mm. And this ball here measures 1.5 thou bigger than the stem. And what we do is we place that ball on the top here, and we put this tool here, which is about 5.5mm diameter, so it's slightly less than the 6mm, and we basically just drive that ball through the guide, making sure you hold underneath so you don't lose the ball, because they're about 50-60 quid each, them little balls. Drive it down, and that spreads the bronze, pushes it out, obviously making it more of an interference fit in the existing guide and giving you the correct clearance. Then we use this tool here, okay, to put in the top, which has got a narrow taper. Just turn it around, that just deburrs the top, and then we take our valve, put it in there, and got exactly the right clearance. Now the reason it hasn't gone all the way through is because we've got to turn the head over, top the guide, deburr it the other side once we've done that, okay? So that is absolutely fine. If you put it in and it's very slightly too snug, or it doesn't quite go in, then what we do is we go the next size ball, which is about 1 thou bigger. So these go up in increments of about 1 thou. So that's what we do, guys. We've done the exhaust now. We've just got to turn it around, do the inlets, and then we'll turn the head over and I'll show you. So what have we got going on over on the mill? So this is a Golf R32 cylinder head. As you can see, if none of you have seen one of these before, it's very similar to the Golf VR6 cylinder head, same bottom end basically. It's the narrow V, single head, single block, very clever design really. I know in the last video I slated Volkswagen for their terrible design over there on the oil pump incorporated in the balance shaft casting, which is just unacceptable, load of crap. This VR6 stroke R32 motor is really, really good. I love it. Sounds absolutely awesome, nice and compact. The difference being with the R32 head is, in comparison to the VR6 head, is, as you can see, this has 4 valves per cylinder, whereas the VR6 has 2. Lovely head. So what I've had to do with this is check the guides. The guides are absolutely perfect on this. Now on the earlier VR6 head, they did suffer with guide wear. It had a thicker stem but shorter valve stem, and it used to wear like buggery, especially on the exhaust. So but this one, yeah, no issues with this. All I've done is, as you can see, I've cut the seats, just giving the head a lick over. We have, I think, John, we've got the block down there somewhere. Yeah, down here. So all John has done is deglaze that block and cleaned off the face. He didn't want the block face faced. Obviously, if we were building it, we would have, and we would have bored it as well. But these are fun to bore these because they're a narrow V. Like I've said to you before, we can't stick them on the boring bar, so we have to hone them out. So we've had these in before where they want to take on the VR6 blocks, they want to take the 2.8s out to the 2.9s. And honing 60 thou out of these is not fun. It takes ages. Crankshaft, etc., which we've had to grind and what have you. But yeah, he's going to be putting that together. But yeah, really nice little engine that. So you can see here, guys, we've started stripping the old wrap, unfortunately, off the nose cone of the kit car. As I said in a previous video, you have a look down there. We had a bit of a mishap at Castle Combe where the front is only held on by these 2 sort of clips here. We need to fasten it down the bottom. The wind's got under it, whipped it straight off, up about 30 foot in the air and came down. Fortunately, it's fiberglass, so we have got a couple of cracks, but because of the wrap, I think the wrap's held it together basically. So we're going to strip off all that wrap there and get that over to Sam at Tintin Express, and he's going to re-wrap that for us so it looks nice and fresh for the next time we go. Right, everybody, today's thumbnail and title. So this isn't aimed at one specific customer. It is a little bit of I suppose it's a bit of a moan really, but more of an educational moan for you guys. So we have had quite a lot of inquiries via email and telephone conversation over the last few years. Seems to be more, maybe it's because we're doing more work, but it seems to be more over the last year on people that are building their own engines. What we have had quite a lot of is people that have sent barrels in for bikes, blocks in to be rebored for cars, etc. And then when they get them home in the build process, they They fit the pistons and the con rods down the holes, then they send us the email or ring us up. And what they say is, and it's always the same sort of thing, I think you bored this with too much clearance. I mean, we've had quite a few emails which have been a bit funny actually, where they've got a bit narky, saying you've rebored it too much. It's like a prick in a bucket. I've had to strip it all out again. So then they persist in getting the top of the piston or sending us a video of them rocking the top of the piston in the bore. Now, what most people don't understand, doesn't surprise me really, because obviously they're not going to know if they don't know. If they don't build loads of engines, they don't know their stuff, then they're not going to know it. But what they don't realise is a modern piston is not parallel all the way up. It is actually sort of tapered downwards. So we've got a piston here. This is the piston out of Paul's Mark III Focus RS. It is an aftermarket piston, but they're all the same these days. Very, very, very rarely is any piston parallel, especially all the modern ones, they never are. So from the bottom to the top of the piston is tapered inwards. So if we actually measure this piston, obviously you need a running clearance with a piston to bore. Say for instance, the running clearance on this is 2.5 thou. About 10 mil up from the bottom of the skirt of the piston in this sort of area here, just that area alone, probably about 20 mil to an inch wide, something like that. That is the only contact point really that is designed to run up the bore. The top is taken up by the rings. So that piston in effect is tapered like that. So if we measure the bottom of this piston, only we're doing it with a vernier, so we're not going to be overly accurate. So that is an 88 mil bore. If we measure the top of the piston now, so that is 87.2. So we are 0.7, 0.75. That's for the metric heads. That is 3/4 of a mil smaller at the top than it is the bottom. So you rock that piston, that is going to rock backwards and forwards. These rings take up the slack of the top. So these rings are designed to push out. There's no contact to the piston at the top of the piston to the bore. So when people put them in, they rock them like that and think that give it, you know, over 3/4 of a mil of running clearance, but it isn't. So don't ever get the top of the piston and rock it in the bore like that. It ain't going to be right. So just educating you guys, for anyone that's going to send barrels or blocks in to be rebored, if you're going to find out what the running clearance should be, guys, you've got to use a bore gauge, which is one of these. You set the bore gauge off a micrometer and you put this end down the bore and that measures it correctly, and then you can work out the running clearance and what it should be and what you've got. Rocking the top of the piston just ain't going to do it, guys. You're going to feel like you've got absolutely bags of clearance. So yeah, it's only a little bit of a nuisance for us because we obviously have to sort of try and educate people on the phone. At the end of the day, if you're going to build your own engine, that's absolutely fair enough. We understand people enjoy doing it. It's a hobby of theirs, but you've got to do your own work, guys. Take advice off people that do it, you know, these little bits of advice off people that do it for a living. Never be too proud to sort of be educated. I never am. If the amount of times I speak to people and they give me advice, even people in the comments I've learnt things from. So yeah, lesson to be learnt there, guys. It's a little bit, it's not a waste of our time, but I suppose it is in some respects. But yeah, if you're building your own engine, you should sort of know that. But modern pistons, not parallel, tapered, don't rock them from the top. So you see how that works now. You just place the ball in the top of the guide and you just drive it down with this air hammer until it comes out the bottom, obviously holding your hand down the bottom so we don't lose the ball. So we turn the cylinder head over now, and as you can see, like I said, down the back, this is where the buckets go. You can see about 5 or 10 mil of the liner guide, or the guide liner, protruding. So we've just got to top that off now, deburr it with our deburring tool, just check from the other side that the valves go all the way through, and then we can set this up on the Centronic and cut the seats. So you can see we've topped those now just down to the existing cast iron guide. Just get our deburring tool in there, and we try our valve all the way through. And there we go, absolutely perfect. Well guys, thanks ever so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. Until, what day is it? Friday. Have a great time, and we'll see you then. Cheers guys.